Country Talk Radio. You're in to all things music.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome to Jackie's Groove. This is Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. You're in to all things music. Guys, it's July 21st. Can you believe this? Where's this year gone? It's a beautiful day in Southern California, but what's beautiful about today is the face that's in my studio. She's an amazing girl, amazing woman, an amazing entertainer, the triple threat, if you will. Broadway, stage, Hollywood. Everything that's got to do with everything in the way of TV production. We'll get deeper into that as we go along also. We talked earlier just a little bit before we went on stage, and she says, you came out, Jackie, out of the blue. Where did you hear about me? Well, I mean, you'd have to be out from under a rock if you didn't know about my in-studio guest, but we have a lot of mutual friends in common, and we're going to talk about that. So with that said, everybody, please welcome to Jackie's Groove with open arms and open ears, an amazing vocalist, actress, and a girl about town. Please welcome Carly Thomas-Smith to Jackie's Groove. Hi, Carly. Good morning.
Hey, Jackie. How you doing? It's still morning, huh?
Yeah, well, no, it's 12:02, so I'm a little bit over there. And so good afternoon. How are you?
Musicians morning, right?
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Hey, girl, let's talk about that song we started out the show with. Give me some background on that.
Yeah. Well, that's a song called In Time, and that's a song I co-wrote with the fantastic William Hanford Lee. And we wrote it a little while back for a movie. It was in a Kevin Hart movie called Hustle and Heat, which was before he got real big. Right. That was In Time, and one of my faves. Mm-hmm.
Man, and do you remember who the players were on that? Were there live musicians on that, or was a lot of programming on that? Because I couldn't tell.
It was some programming. We had Daryl Crooks come in and do some guitar on it, and he really, kind of brought it to that next level, given it that little guitar riff in there. And Hanford did a lot of the programming on it as well, and me and him did all the vocals and the vocal arrangement too.
Beautifully done. Mm-hmm. And for the listeners out there that are fans of Carly, and myself, who's a new fan of Carly, I want you guys to do yourselves a favor and go to this small website called YouTube. And I want you to search Carly Thomas-Smith, and I want you to do yourselves a favor, your musical favor, and download, or I should say search, Don Grusin, Dave Grusin, The Hang, and be amazed by this woman who supports the vocals of Patti Austin, Phil Perry, to name but a few. And it blows me out of the water, Carly, because we talked a little bit earlier. I mean, of all the friends that we have in common, and in answer to your question, Carly wanted to know how I got a hold of her. Well, it was recommended to me to get a hold of her through two good friends of mine. Number one, Daryl Fitzgerald Walker, a great vocalist who actually just played tribute to Mr. Al Jarreau at Spaghettini's here, I think it was a couple weeks ago. And Carly was supposed to be on the background vocalist, but she got called out for a small program called Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David, my favorite show on HBO. And we'll get back into that also.
Yeah, it's coming back.
Yes, and the R&B legend, Mr. Phil Perry, who is a big fan of yours. I mean, if he doesn't want to admit it, he's admitted it to me. So he's the one that introduced us, and through that, I shake your hands virtually through the phone. So, and with that, and going back to The Hang itself, I do want to talk about that. When you're talking about, my brother musicians, Oscar Seaton and Harvey Mason and Don and Dave Grusin, Ricardo Silveria, Pete Escovedo, Alex Acuna, all my boys and girls on this performance. What was it like to you, girl, when you got the call for that, to know that these were your childhood stars and idols you were now backing up?
It was surreal. I mean, it was just amazing to be on a stage and to look around and just see all of these legends on stage. And it was a little bit intimidating. I was like, I need to come with it. I can't be messing up behind Patti Austin, So, but it was definitely one for the books. like you said earlier, I could have gone home that day and never made music again and felt accomplished, felt like I did something that was worthy of my dream.
You dig? And there's a scene there on the video, this production of the DVD, when you guys are all sitting backstage on the sofa, like you guys are just, you just came off this thing and just, using your voices together. How was that itself, to be, let me just step back for a second. How much vocal rehearsal did you go through with these people, or did you wing it going through?
Well, we actually, the three background vocalists, and then Natalie Renee, she was featured, we did quite a bit of rehearsal on our own. And then as we started to put the show up and people started to come in, then we did, dress rehearsal type thing. But it was funny, one time we were rehearsing in the car because Natalie and Jude and I, the other two vocalists, we wanted to make sure we were on point. And so we were in the car rehearsing, and all of a sudden, Mr. Perry comes out and knocks on the window. And he gets in the car and just sits in there and listens to us rehearsing. Mind you, we were trying to get away, so in case we messed up, nobody could hear, But apparently what I heard was that Patti Austin had sent him out to check on us to make sure that we were doing all right and had our parts and everything. And I hear that he gave us a good report. And then after that, whenever we'd start rehearsing, which was just, again, surreal, people would just come in and start singing with us. Patti would sit down and just start singing with us. Sometimes she'd sing her part. Sometimes she'd add a harmony. Nathan East would sit down and start singing bass with us, even though he wasn't singing at first. He was just playing bass, and then all of a sudden he starts singing the bottom. I'm like, what life is this? What is this? It was pretty amazing. And those are my favorite moments, because that's when you realize that we are all really connected by our love of simply making music. And no matter what people have done at whatever level, Nathan still just was digging singing with us. He was still digging just making music with us. And same with Ms. Austin, she'd just sit down and start singing with us. And that was definitely the gold. Those were the moments that I will always cherish.
And the respect comes through it also, too. And then we're sitting down and you guys are chopping it up like, true road dogs. The fact is that they obviously were comfortable with you, because the reason why you guys were in that position is because you guys were able to hang and handle the background singing and the background vocals. So we became all one.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. And I want to step back for a second, young lady. Going on this, you guys, again, The Hang, Don Grusin, Dave Grusin, and you definitely want to put this in your repertoire because it's amazing. But I have to ask you a question. I ask this to a lot of people itself because I know what my background is. But let's just say for a second, I grew up in your neighborhood, and I was coming down the street, and I was cruising through the Thomas family household. What was the songs and music genres coming out of the speakers through your mom and dad's house?
Well, it varied. My dad used to sing and play guitar. So growing up, he listened to, a lot of James Taylor and Carly Simon. And I remember Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life being on the top of the stack of albums. And then my stepfather, he's actually a bass player, and he specializes in jazz. So he had everything, in his albums, from Ron Carter to Brentford Marsalis to contemporary stuff of the day. I think I first heard Rufus from his record collection, Chaka Khan and Rufus. Right. So it was pretty much everything from popular music to jazz and R&B, all sorts of stuff, really.
Can I give you a little spoiler alert real quick? I'm going to jump in here real quick. You just mentioned Rufus and Chaka Khan. Now, you didn't hear this from me, and the millions of people listening to the show right now, they're coming back, girl. They're regrouping. I just want to let you know that. And that's because of Mr. John. That's because of Mr. J.R. Robinson that shared it with me, so I'm going to share it with everybody out there too. Yes, they are coming back. So once you get started, girl, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I cannot wait to see that. I've seen Shaka live quite a few times, but to see them all together, that would be amazing.
Well, and let me ask this question.
I can't wait to see that.
So you gave me the kind of a vibe of what happened in your household itself. But right now, if I was to come and steal your iPad or your iPhone or jump in your car with you right now, what is on your playlist right now? What are you grooving to right now?
Oh, gosh, so many different things. I mean, I grew up mostly in and around Minneapolis and northern Minnesota. So Prince is like all up and through there. I've got so much Prince, so much Chaka Khan. I also love Mel LaRue is one of my favorite singers. I listen to her a lot. Of course, I've got Nancy Wilson and Cannonball Adderley. That's like standard on all of my playlists. The one with the yellow dress, where she's on the cover with the yellow dress. And in terms of contemporary artists, I love Gregory Porter. My husband has turned me on to him, so he's always playing in our house these days. Yeah, Gregory Porter he's a beast. I mean, the depth of his vocals are amazing.
He's on our radar right now, so we're really excited about that. And for those who don't know Gregory Porter, again, crawl out from under that rock. This man, he's a beast. That voice, the man could sing the telephone book, and he's got my attention. And
he really has a way of, the way he connects to emotion is unique. That the timbre and tone of his voice is just like molasses, but it's the way that he innately just connects to the emotion of the lyric. I think he really has a gift that is unique in that respect.
Does Carly have a bucket list right now? Let me just go ahead and just kind of put it out there. You've worked with the multitude of the who's who of the industry, but right now, if you had your druthers, and if you had the number one thing on your bucket list, let's stay in music right now. Who do you want to work with, dead or alive? Let's kind of go back and forth here.
Wow. Well, I guess I can say Chaka Khan would be one that would be up there, although I would probably want to make sure I was working on all cylinders and at my very best, because I know she's demanding. So I would she would be one to work with, but I'm a little scared to say that because, gosh, should it come true, I would definitely have to rise to the occasion. Definitely her. Al Jarreau would have been one. He just left us, and he would have been amazing to work with. I would just want to sit in the room and watch him. I don't even need to work with him. Just watch him, because he's a genius.
And as I said to you off air, be jealous. I was with him for 4 hours in our home. And and I played vocal percussion. He played vocal bass. The typical Al Jarreau, where he would tap his chest. And we did Spain together. And we did my favorite tune by him called Alonzo, which is just an amazing, amazing tune. But he sat there and we sang together, Morning, Mr. Radio. And I'm looking at this. He's literally a foot in front of me. And I literally after the interview, I stood up and I grabbed his face and I gave him a kiss, man. And it was just that, that inspiring. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put it out there. I hope that you and I get the chance, because, I'm known in percussion for the groove, not just because it's Jackie's groove, but my groove itself. And when I watch you on stage on the video with the group, you're a white girl, man, but you've got soul in you, girl. You can dance. And it's just that whole vibe. It's that groove with the shaker and so on. And as I said, I became a fan, and I'm just really hoping as we get to the last segment to find out when you're going to be around town that we can go ahead and be in awe of your playing and your singing, I should say. So, and I'm going to bounce back. So Al Jarreau, God rest his soul, I could see you definitely singing background with that man, or singing even a co-lead with this man. And then, of course, with Chaka. And never watch what you dream for, girl, and watch what you wish for. Because, I know,
that's what I'm saying.
Heavily connected now, and let's step over to the stage called Broadway. I'm not going to ask you questions. We only have 3.5 minutes on this segment. I'm not going to ask this question. It's going to take 10 minutes to answer. But with Broadway, my wife Caprice lives for Broadway. I particularly myself, Broadway is, I can deal with it. But of course, being married 34 years, when I'm told I got to go to Broadway, I just keep my mouth shut and I show up. But when she found out that you were in Rent, my wife is walking through the studio singing that, and I'm making fun of you though. 5, 6, 7 million, 5, 3, 40. And you said that. So what is the words to that again? Go ahead and share with me with that.
Well, that's Seasons of Love, which is the most well-known song from the musical, and it basically celebrates what a year in the life of love would be, and measured in minutes, it's 525,600 minutes in a year. So that's the chorus. 525,600 minutes. That's the chorus. My God. So,
I had to sit there and watch my wife with a box of tissue during Wicked, and then I just. But there's something to be said about that. And God bless you on that. But let's go to something I enjoy. I'll be the first one to say it. I don't want to sound like, don't judge me, but I love Friends. And you had your tenure with Friends. You had your tenure with Desperate Housewives. And also, too, with I got to find out, the 2.5 Men. Was it the Charlie Sheen years that you were doing 2.5 Men?
Yeah, it was towards the end of the Charlie Sheen years. But, yeah, my scene was with Charlie, so... Yeah, it was during that time. And he was nothing but a gentleman. I'm going to put that out there right now. He was nothing but a gentleman, completely nice, completely professional. So, it was I've been very, very blessed that the TV shows that I have done have been pretty big ones. So, pretty lucky in that respect.
And let's talk to the audience, just kind of give them a spoiler alert here about the possibility. Have you been casted, or what's going on right now with Curb Your Enthusiasm coming up to a new season?
Well, as you know, it was just announced that they're bringing Curb back in October on HBO. And, I just did an episode about a month ago. I signed an NDA, so that's really all I can tell you.
Okay, I did. Okay.
You're gonna have to watch to find out what happens. And it's, as you know, par for the course for Curb. It's all very hilarious. That's about all I can tell you. So yeah.
Am I the only one out there? When I watch Larry David, am I the only viewer out there? I'm going to throw it to you also. I get nervous with him because I never know what he's going to say, how much he's going to step out of line. Hopefully he carried on with that neuroses that he's had in the previous years. I know you can't talk more about it, but God, I cannot wait for it to come to fruition itself. So with that said, on this last minute itself, are they bringing back with Curb? Can you say, are they bringing back the same writers? Are they bringing back the same? Is they smooth? Is he going to be back on it? Can you talk about that at all?
You'll have to watch and find out.
All right, okay. I'm just answering the questions that are brought to me. There's 1,000 of them out there. So with that said, young lady, we're going to be we're stepping out of right now segment number 1. We're going to segment number 2, and I can tell you right now, you are definitely going to come back because we're going to talk about your new release coming out also. So with that said, everybody, I hope you're enjoying this show as much as I'm enjoying the show with this amazing talent. The girl she's everything. And why it's not showing a whole portfolio of you being a model for the Ford agency is beyond me. But that's that's something else we can talk about. So with that said, everybody, don't go anywhere. We'll be back on segment number 2 with my in-studio guest, the beautiful Carly Thomas Smith. And we're going to talk about in depth more about Broadway, her acting, and everything else that's got to do with you. So with that said, guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with a short message. Stay tuned.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
The Moyer Entertainment Group, in conjunction with Daddario, Radio Airplay, and Looploft, is keeping music in our local schools and presenting local talent to the world through the Temecula Valley Music Awards. Submissions for entry into the TVMA 2017 season are now open in all genres, including a youth category for artists under 18 for the October 7th Star-Studded Awards Show, where 100% of the proceeds go towards supporting local music education in the Temecula Valley. Details, tvmawards.org.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EnterTalkRadio.com.
Todd Zuckerman from the rock band Styx, and you're listening to my pal Jackie Bertoni on Jackie's Groove. Groove on, motherfuckers.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
I saw you walk away with her off into a blur.
Hey, man, I got to tell you, if this girl takes a few more lessons, she's going to get this thing called vocals. And the girl can sing, man. I'm telling you, it's amazing. Guys, it's Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. You're into all things music. Hey, before we get going on here, do you guys do yourselves a favor and do us a favor if you would be so kind? When you can't listen to myself, Jackie's Groove, live, or any of the plethora of the shows on our network, go to iTunes or Google Play and download our easy-to-use and easy-to-navigate application. 2 words, Intertalk the first, radio second. You can take Jackie on the go with you when you just can't listen to me live. And what you're doing right now, for those who are listening to us live, you're listening to my new friend, who's intertwined with most of my old friends, an amazing vocalist, amazing actress, Carly Thomas Smith. Carly, welcome back, girl.
Thanks, Jackie. Thanks for having me again.
Let's talk about that song we just came on the top of the set with. Educate us. Give us the genesis of that tune, please.
Well, that song's called Holiday Blues, and I put it out last year. And the genesis of it is I was asked by Mr. Byron Stripling, who is an amazing trumpet player, as well as the artistic director of the Columbus Jazz Orchestra, to come and do a holiday concert with the Columbus Jazz Orchestra last year. And so he asked me probably around March or April or so. And I said, yes, of course. I've worked with them before, and I love working with them. I mean, there's nothing like working with a jazz orchestra. And so we were putting together the program, and it dawned on me. I was like, you know what? Maybe I could write something. That would be kind of cool to have an original premiere with a live orchestra. I mean, how often do you have the chance to do that? So I got together with one of my writing partners, William Hanford Lee, who again co-wrote In Time with me from the previous segment. And we were trying to actually write a big, bouncy, big band number. We're like, you know what, let's do a big holiday, swingy jazz thing. But 2016 was kind of a bummer for many, many reasons. And so I kept coming back around to this idea of, you know, people who have a hard time around the holidays because of whatever has just happened, missing loved ones, breakups, you know, just having had a bad year. And so the holidays can sometimes sting for people. And so we wrote this song called Holiday Blues, and it's basically, you know, talking about the fact that, gosh, I thought this holiday I was going to be with you, but you're not here. And now I'm trying to move on. So that was where that came from. And I actually premiered it with the Columbus Jazz Orchestra in December, and we played it live, and it was live streamed, and it was a pretty amazing experience to have one of your tunes be premiered like that.
Absolutely. You know, and I want to ask this question. You know, I've been blessed over the years. I've played in front of 100,000 people, which wasn't my favorite thing to do. It scared the living shit out of me, to be honest with you. I prefer a smaller venue. I want to be able to, like Al Jarreau said, I'm going to share this story with you again. Al said, yes, Jackie, I've had his amazing shows at Montreux in front of 60, 70,000 people, but I prefer to be in a small venue where I can look at the girl in front of me, the woman, and I said, I want to hear you breathe. And pardon me for sweating on your husband's blue suede shoes. because it's the intimate connection that you have with that situation. And I always ask a lot of the entertainers, musicians, you and me, if depending on how old you are and what your preference is on stage, if you love to go through in-ear monitors, do you love wedges for the ambient sound of the stage? But a question that I want to ask, since I've never played with a huge band like a jazz band, do me a favor, share with me and share with the other audience and members out there and the musicians out there, when you are on a stage and you're playing with a minimum of 25 players that are blasting behind you, what do you hear? Are you in ear? Are you wedge? And what do you want to hear, or what can you hear or not hear in your mix? Share with us.
Well, I'm an in-ear convert. I mean, of course, I've sung with my fair share of wedges, and if they're done right, wedges are fantastic. But it's, depending on the room, depending on who's doing sound or what kind of day they're having or how I'm singing, how my voice is, it's just, to me, I feel like in-ears are my savior, because no matter what the variable is, at least I can hear myself. And for me, I'm one of those singers who I need to hear myself. I know there's some people who've trained themselves not to worry about listening to themselves while they sing, but I do need to hear myself if I really am going to do my best. I mean, I can wing it, and there's been many a time where I haven't been able to hear myself, and probably nobody in the audience knows, but I can feel it in my voice afterwards, because I'm usually kind of trying to manipulate the sound just to be able to hear myself, and that ends up not being good for my voice and my vocal health. So I'm big on in-ears, and of course I'm blasting in my ears, as most vocalists usually are. And I like to have, definitely always keys in my ears, depending on also the style of music. Like working with the jazz orchestra, I have a mix of everything because nobody's blaring. If I'm working with like a funk band or R&B, then usually I don't put drums in my ears because they're hitting so hard that they come right through
already.
Anyway. Yeah. So I'll put a little percussion in, depending on how loud the horns are blasting, depends on what I put in there. But with the jazz orchestra, it actually, I could hear pretty well without the ears, and the sound, because you're in a contained concert hall and it's meant for that, I could take my ears out and be totally fine. But I would usually have one ear in, one ear out, and especially for the intimate stuff, like if it wasn't just all big band, just me and piano and, bass, then I would take them out and, just roll with that. But it depends on the sound. But overall, I am definitely an in-ear monitor convert. I think that they've done wonders for my vocal health.
Let me ask another question right now, Ken. I'm definitely not going to be a shit stirrer here, but I have to know this from my own knowledge, and the listeners want to know also, girl. And what I'm going to ask you, and just because you've played with the multitude of the who's who of players, and except me, and so with that said, I have to be.
We'll fix that.
Thank you, girl. I'm going to ask you some. It's going to probably be a very unfair question, but I need to know this because I want to know your vibe and what your style is. I'm going to ask you. It's a tough question, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Your favorite musician per instrument, because you play with them all.
Ooh,
and
my favorite musician.
Yeah, and this is actually brought up to me by my dear friend Al DiMiola. He says you always get the vibe of an artist by the people that if they were to hire to go in the studio with, what their choice would be. So with that said, let's start out with guitar. Who does Carly love?
Okay. And are you talking about like people that I actually play with, or like in a dream world?
Both. Your favorite all-time guitar player.
Okay. Favorite all-time guitar player. Well, Lee Rittenauer is definitely up there. And since I've worked with him, I'm going to say Lee. He's definitely up there. And actually somebody on the circuit who I play with regularly, who I really dig, is Romeo Brunet. He's like the truth in terms of R&B. He's like, if you want anything, any song honored, he honors the music. So he's definitely up there with people that I play with currently.
Okay. How about bass?
Bass, well, my stepdad, Bruce Kalin.
Good answer.
He was a Minneapolis bass player his whole career, so he's definitely up there, and I have played with him before. And then I also really love who's down here in LA right now, Ian Seck, formerly Ian Martin. He's fantastic. He actually played bass on Holiday Blues, and
Very cool.
hoping we can do some live gigs here soon.
Keys.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about keyboards.
My favorite, who I play with all the time, and who is also one of my very, very good friends, is Noriko Alling-Wright. She's amazing. She, does string parts, charts.
Absolutely.
She's just very tasteful and artistic, and she's amazing. And of course, both Dave and Don Grusin are also, they're on the Dream Team, even though I worked with them before, but definitely the Dream Team. Yeah.
Big question mark, percussion. Because the only reason I say that, because you had two of the greatest players with you on the hang. And one of them is actually both are my very dear friends. And I will say Pete Escovedo Sr. and also Alex Acuna. But go ahead and tell me who you love.
I'm going to say Jackie Bertoni.
Oh, God. Let me stand up next time you go smoke up my ass like that. Thank you, girl. I appreciate it. Yeah, because the listeners want to know.
You set me up, right? You set me up.
Why not?
I also love playing with Rich Mangiacaro too. He's fantastic.
And he's listening today, by the way, also too. And he's
Hey, Rumi.
Yeah, he plays a lot with my good friend, the group Venice. And Rich is just an amazing cat all the way. Period. He's got a lot of great stuff up on Facebook where he's starting to play a little bit more rudiment conga parts and so on, so people can really get into it. So Rich Mangiacaro, you guys definitely want to check him out also. All right, now I got that little bit of stuff out of the way. I wanted to find out. Let me ask you another question, and the people want to know.
Okay.
I want to know. Broadway, singing music in the studio for contemporary music, or television? You had to choose one to do the rest of your life, and only one. What's your favorite?
Come on, Jackie. You can't do that to me.
I have to. It's my show. Answer the question, girl. It's if you really had.
It's like Sophie's choice. It's like Sophie's choice. I can't choose. Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I've done Broadway, and to be honest with you, 8 shows a week is no joke. Especially because the stuff that I do, my specialty tends to be contemporary pop stuff. So, it's taxing on the voice. So I'd say because I've done that, and because, I'm going into another phase of my career, it would have to come down to either TV or studio singing or artist work, I don't know, though, if I can choose, because I don't feel I've exhausted those two yet,
I love your acting reel that you have up on YouTube. It kind of gives you an overall vibe of exactly what you do. I mean, you're a natural at what you do, and I really, really enjoy that too. And again, to say this, with all due respect to my wife and your husband, you're gorgeous, girl. I mean, you've got a vibe about yourself that is beautiful. I mean, I got to throw it out there. And guys, trust me when I tell you, she's amazing. And you can also go to her website, which is www.carly, C-A-R-L-Y, Thomas, T-H-O-M-A-S, Smith, SMITH.com. An amazing, amazing background. Take a look at her resume. I mean, I'm honored just to be talking to this young lady right now. So, and I want to go on this last 4 minutes. I want to ask you this question, and actually the listeners want to hear the answer to this. With regards to being on stage with a girl by the name of Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was wondering when you were going to ask about that.
Well, I had to, and I got to be honest with you. I mean, there's a part. God bless this girl for what she's done for the industry. She's no bullshit. She understands what's going on and how to keep money in our pockets instead of people stealing our music. But with that said, let's step back on the performance side of it. I mean, she's a little cutie pie. I've got underwear older than she is. But the fact of the matter is, when you hire somebody like Carly Thomas Smith, who can sing her ass off, I don't know if I could be Taylor Swift and be up on stage and having somebody behind me that can sing me through the roof.
Well, it doesn't work like that, though. It's like everybody has their own thing,
It's I used to work with a guy years ago by the name of Stevie B. And that's during my days of CNC
I know
Music
who Stevie
Factory.
B is. Yeah.
All right. Now, when Stevie would come up and sing next to me at these major venues, he would sing a song, his number one hit called The Postman. He'd be singing this song, and he'd be so sharp that my eyebrows and my eyes would be fluttering. Because, and where I'm going to go with this.
He was in it. It was the emotion.
No, I just don't know why he would stand next to me. It bothered the shit out of me. But, Steve, if you're listening, I'm sorry. But the fact of the matter is, do you see Taylor as, forget about the entertainer part, what do you feel about her vocals as a young woman? Is she at the pinnacle of where she's going to be in the way of vocals? And these are questions from my listeners.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't want to bite the hand that feeds you, but you know what?
Right.
I'm just going to tell the listener I'm not going to ask that question itself because in this industry you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. So hopefully,
let me say this. She has her sound, and one of the things as artists that we're always striving for is, when we open our mouth or when you press play or when you hear us on the radio, that you know who we are. And there are plenty of people who can blow, but they sound like everybody else. And the thing about her is she's reached the place where when you hear her, you know who you know that it's her. And so she has her little style. And I have to say, she was very consistent. She's very consistent when I worked with her, and she sings live all the time. And she's a songwriter. And so when she delivers her song, she's not trying to sound like Shaka. That's not what she does. What she does is she tells stories. And her vocals allow her to do that because she connects to her songs, and that's the way she sings to tell the story. So, I mean, I'm not big on competitive singing, because everybody has their something. So even if, you have somebody who can riff to the high heavens and who has a range of, 4-octave range, that doesn't make them better than the person who's got 7 notes but can, do a lot with those 7 notes. And I'm not saying that one person in particular has 7 notes, but I'm just saying, I think that everybody has their something, particularly when it comes to vocalists. I think that's true of all musicians, but it's particularly with vocalists because we're telling stories, and that's the primary thing, is telling the story of the song. So, I have mad respect for her, and I have to say, when I started to study her music, I was like, girl can write a song. She can really write a song. So I have nothing but respect for her.
And I got to tell you, I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm being 100% on this. I had an episode with a producer not too long ago, a wonderful producer, and I'm saying that with tongue in cheek. He was an asshole. And after I got done with the situation, after his check cashed, I said, you know what? I said, I just got to shake this shit off. And of course, the rest of the day, I kept singing, shake it off, shake it off. And all of a sudden, I go, oh my God. I said, I caught myself being in a Taylor Swift mode. So, and what I'm catching myself with right now, girls, 33 seconds on the second episode. We're stemming out. We're going into number 3, and we got to find out. The next episode is going to be all about Carly. I want to find out and let the listeners find out where they can stalk you on a personal basis, meaning the fact of how to patronize you and so on. So with that said, you guys, I hope you're having a great time like I am. This girl is amazing. I want to ask questions, but from the listeners out there, some things I'm just going to refrain because I am not Howard Stern, and I don't need to know too many things that are personal. So with that said, coming out of 2, going into 3, my name is Jackie Bertoni. This is Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. You're into all things music with my in-studio guest, the amazing Carly Thomas Smith. Don't go anywhere, guys. 3 around the corner.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas, and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now, with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording, and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EnterTalkRadio.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, this is Michael McDonald, and you're listening to my good buddy Jackie Bertoni on Jackie's Groove.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
I can only give you country walks in springtime and a hand to hold when leaves begin.
I absolutely love this woman's voice. That woman's voice is from Carly Thomas Smith, my in-studio guest. Hey, guys, real quick, I wanted to say thank you to all of our sponsors out there that keep the lights on in this place. First and foremost, Pitbull Audio, Calvin Lee and the motley crew over at Pitbull Audio. They just want you to play it loud. You can reach them at pitbullaudio.com for all of your electronical needs in music. Electronical? How's that for bad grammar? Secondly, I want to say hello to all my buddies over at SIR, Studio Instrument Rentals. I'm sure Carly's used them before. You can reach them at sir-usa.com for all of your backline needs and studio rehearsal needs also. My people I'm biased to, Vader Percussion, who's been giving me my good wood in my hands, my drumsticks for the past 23 years. You can reach them at Vader, VATER.com. Sabian Cymbals, SABIAN Cymbals.com. 23 years with them. They're the ones that give all the crash and splash sounds that did Brother Jackie and all the studio work that I've been doing. And to people I'm very, very, very biased to. Celebrating 28 years with LP Music, my drum and my percussion company of choice. And thank you guys. I love you for believing in my career. And that's lpmusic.com for everything in the world of percussion. So with that said, I just hear the cash register going off in the back. We paid some bills, Carly. So now we're coming back. Now I just want to get it wrapped up here for a second. Share with the listeners right now. Tell us what's going on in Carly Thomas Smith's world right now as we speak. Share with us.
Well, on a personal tip, I just moved, so I've been kind of in moving hell because, as we all know, it's very stressful. But on a professional tip, I've been for a while trying to get together this Jazzy piece, so I'm working on that. And of course, as you know, when you're doing an independent situation, it ends up taking longer, taking more time, taking more money than you anticipated when you went into it. So I am in the process of working on that and hopefully getting that out sometime in the near future, although I do not have a release date for the full thing yet. What I started to do with Holiday Blues last year is release singles, because that's kind of how the industry is now. You know, you don't have to wait till you have a whole record together. You can release singles. So I think we're gonna start with that. And we're toying with the idea of maybe doing some type of crowdfunding. So that's basically where we're at. We're in the production stages. We've got a couple tunes done, and I've got to wrap up some vocals on some things. But that's what's going on. In addition to just singing for my supper and auditioning and all the stuff that goes along with the day to day of being a performing artist for hire.
And here's an important question I want to find out too, because, we can talk about, how wonderful things are, what we want to do and so on. But let's talk about, even though you look like you're 21 years old, and I know how to patronize better than anybody, but you've been in this industry for longer than that. My question is to you, and I just had a great interview a couple days ago with Jay King. He's the innovator from the group Club Nouveau, if you remember them. Why You Treat Me So Bad, Rumors and Lean on Me.
Yeah, Why You Treat Me So Bad.
There you go. And it was so amazing because every question I asked him, which I'm going to ask you, blew me out of the water because he's long in the tooth like I am. He's been in the industry, and I ask everybody, cross-section, young and old, in this industry.
Right.
And I'm going to say that you're a veteran in this industry, and I'm going to ask you this question. Does Carly Thomas Smith, better, let me rephrase this. What is Carly Thomas Smith's view of the music industry as it sits today? Are you optimistic? Are you pessimistic?
I would say overall I'm optimistic because I think that there are more tools for artists to use in order to get their stuff out there. And I think that, but the only thing is that it can be a little perplexing because it's just so different than it was even 15 years ago. So I feel like we're sort of in a free-for-all right now where, you know, there's some people who are really adept and skilled at using social media, at using, you know, producing themselves, at promoting themselves. The only thing that I don't dig about it is that it puts everything on the artist. So whereas the artist used to just be able to focus on, you know, doing the music, now they also have to do all the promotion themselves. I mean, and you can have a team, but ultimately it's on you, you know, and the more skilled you are at using these different platforms, the better result you're going to have. So ultimately I'm optimistic, but I think we're sort of in the midst of a huge transition right now. I mean, and you could say the transition has already happened, but I think that we're still trying to figure out if there's going to be a structure in the industry at all moving forward.
And for the millennials out there, because we have a huge listening audience for millennials, and I'm going to say this again, and this is not my soapbox, but 3 favorite words I use: stop stealing music, people. The millennials don't know what it's like to go out and buy music. And I don't mean that that's been thrust upon them. I mean, you still think there's over 38 Tower record stores in Japan that are thriving.
Wow.
You know, they value music different than they do out here. We mentioned a little while ago my friend Anastasia Newkirk, an amazing vocalist. But the fact is, her second album, she couldn't sell shit out here in America, but she sells 7 million copies plus, you know, worldwide. And with that situation is, you know, Carly's not doing this for her health. She's doing this to take care of her family, her husband, her baby boy. And the fact of the matter is, you know, nobody gets in this business. And I'm going to call bullshit. Nobody gets in this business to starve. You know, we hope that we can get, you know, we hope we can be successful. We hope we can keep the mortgage paid and keep a roof over our head. But you can't do that, people, by stealing fucking music. I don't walk into your office and piss on your computer screen while you're doing work and stuff. And stop doing that to us. Honestly, stop doing that to us itself. You know, there's other ways out there because you know what you're missing? You're missing this thing called Tuesday Record Release, in which you'd go over to Tower Records or Music Biz, and then you would get this thing called a CD, and you would get it home, and you would open it up. And my dear friend of mine, Julia Fordham, she great vocalist, she had said to me, she goes in her English accent, she says, "Jackie, it's amazing what the kids are missing by slicing over that plastic and pulling out a thing called liner notes, in which you sit there and you get to see, oh, I didn't know Carly sang background on this album. I didn't know Jackie played percussion. I didn't know that Nathan, you know, it's saying, I didn't know so-and-so did the makeup and so on." These are things that are missing. And what's cool about this now is a lot of labels now on Amazon, on iTunes, and CD Baby, they are now giving you digital downloads. Guys, don't pass that by. Download and look who put the flavor on this sound. And you're missing it. I hope, Dave Grohl said last year on Howard Stern that he believes in 5 years there will be music stores again. I hope he's right on that. You know,
I hope so. You know, that's that's one thing. I mean, that's where I definitely date myself because I grew up on vinyl and ordering the what was it 9 for 99 cents from Columbia House. You know,
Columbia House, exactly. I never paid that bill, by the way. I never paid the bill.
Oh, you still have collectors coming after you for that?
Absolutely.
It's like $999 now.
Exactly.
But I grew up on that. My stepdad, like I said, is a bass player and has just an amazing vinyl collection. And I grew up just staring at album covers and combing through the credits. And, then when we moved on to CDs and, I had a little CD addiction for a minute. I would just go into Towered Records and buy. I'm like,
Exactly.
but I loved it. I loved, physically touching the CD or the record and reading, from tip to top who was involved in the production and the writing and where they did it, And I miss that today because it's even hard to get it sometimes. Sometimes you're like, where can I even purchase a physical CD,
Well, it's really cool, too.
I miss that.
I'm going to throw it out there. My dear friend, Michael McDonald, has got a new album coming out called Wide Open on September the 15th, and Michael's pressing it on vinyl. And Michael said, I cannot wait to hear it on vinyl, but I don't know where in God's name I'm going to find somebody with a good turntable. I have one of the top-of-the-line turntables, a Bang & Olufsen, sitting in my garage somewhere, and I definitely want to bring that back out again. So that's my soapbox. That's your soapbox. Let me ask you this question, girl, and this is a question my wife brought up, and I love it. I ask every one of my entertainers. If Carly Thomas Smith wasn't singing, performing on stage, acting on television, what would you be doing today?
Ooh, that's a tough one because, to be honest with you, I mean, Lord knows I've asked myself that question throughout the course of my career, and I haven't come up with anything. So, because it's all I've really ever wanted to do. Ever since I was little, I've known what I wanted to do. That said, I think being an actor and a singer and telling stories, one of the things that one of the reasons I do it is because I'm fascinated by humanity. So I think I could easily see myself being a psychologist or being somehow involved in psychology in some way. But beyond that, I don't know, because it's all I've ever wanted to do and it's all I've ever done, So
Yeah, a lot of responses from a lot of the people, and you saw my roster on my page on jackiesgroove.com. The majority of people say that I would probably die. From doing this, because I knew this. I knew I was going to be playing percussion from the age of 9 years old, growing up in an Armenian Italian family. But my mom and dad used to listen to Latin music, so that's where my education came from. Let me ask you this question. I know my answer because I've experienced it. Everybody out there that's notable has experienced this also. So let me throw it to you for a second. Where were you? What were you thinking? What were you doing the first time you heard yourself on the radio?
Oh my goodness. Wow, that's a tough one because
it is.
I can't, that's a tough one because I don't know that I've had the opportunity beyond like right now, Pandora or whatever for my own solo stuff. I've heard myself singing background on stuff before.
Share that.
But yeah, that's a tough one. I guess the first time I was doing, because that's still that's one of the bucket list things that I'm still checking off as an artist. But I did, a while back, I did the Queen musical, We Will Rock You, and of course, the Brian May and Roger Taylor were involved in it pretty deeply. But while we were there, we sang backup on a collection of Queen music. And I remember the first time hearing that on there. But there was part of, on the radio, but there was part of me that was like, oh, I want to hear my stuff,
So that's... I asked that because, and girl, trust me, we've only heard a snippet of you and what you're definitely capable of, and the listeners out there are going to be privileged too. My dear friend Saida Garrett, Man in the Mirror and so on. I asked her that question. She said she actually had to pull off the side of the freeway because she broke down crying and she couldn't see in front of her from the tears. And I remember my time was back in 1990 on a song called "Same World" with Michael McDonald and Henry Capono. I was at Fashion Island in Newport Beach, sitting in the parking lot waiting for my wife to come out for lunch, and I heard the song Talia, my dear friend, the one you hear on my bumper music. She played the song, and I cried. I sat in my car and I cried, and I wanted to roll the window down without people thinking I was a freak by saying, "Hey, that's me." But fast forward, and through the years and what I've been blessed to play on the hits that are all over the world, I can be in a market. I can be in, just not too long ago, last year I was at McDonald's at Barstow Station on our way to Las Vegas for a little 3-day staycation, if you will. And I heard myself coming out of the bathroom. And I sat there and I was drying my hands and I was just smiling. It was one of the great songs by a great reggae group called Big Mountain, and a song called Baby, I Love Your Way. Well, you know that song no matter where you at. You hear the tune.
Yeah.
And, and then all the years I've been with the Beach Boys and Wilson Phillips, I don't react that way anymore. In fact, my dear friend of mine, Joanna, was at a market, and she heard Brian Wilson going over the Muzak, if you will. And there's a little woman next to her, and she looked at her, and she goes, you hear that? That's my good friend. And she looked over, and she goes, your good friend is Brian Wilson? And so Joanna just smiled and dropped her head and walked away. So that never gets old, and I hope everybody gets that chance once. I don't care if it's on Pandora. I don't care if it's on Spotify. Just to hear not only your ears, but everybody else listening to you also. And it's something that we lack as great musicians. We lack as singers. We lack the fact that we need to get the kudos. And that's everything about Jackie's Groove, is that we celebrate the names below the marquee. The names that, the hired guns, if you will. And it's just up to late. If you watch any award show, what's the last thing you see on the fucking credits rolling? The music. The music is everything, and I hope to God they started changing that, Carly, and now on motion pictures they will give the musicians credit who played bass, who played sax, and so on and so forth. I've been on plenty of soundtracks, and again, I'm sitting in the audience smiling, but nobody knows it's me. And you know what though? Right. At 57 years old, that's okay also. So that's something I want to put out there itself. I think the music business is going to come around. I think people are going to get the business, as I said before. There's groups like Styx, like Journey, all of my personal friends of mine, and these guys are 40-plus years in the business, and they're still selling out arenas. Why? It's real fucking music, real fucking musicians, and real good fucking music. And, and that's the bottom line. It's something that's lacking in this, And the fact is, I got to be honest with you, when I get off the air with you, I'm going to go onto YouTube. And I want to see what you sound like in a big band situation, because that's a challenge, man. When you're sitting there and your voice is now part of 50 players, and how you get out there. I mean, you got to be singing. And I say this from my heart, and I say this out of respect. But girl, you got to be singing from your balls when you're singing that, that kind of power. And I want to ask a question too, with regards to your husband. In the last minute here, and your beautiful baby boy at 9 years old. Does he get what Mama does for a living?
He's starting to. In fact, he just walked through the living room right now with the guys.
Okay.
But yeah, he gets it. I think. Mm-hmm.
Okay, 1 minute left. I went on a tangent. How do we get a hold of Carly Thomas Smith? Give me the URLs.
Well, my website, carlythomassmith.com. Also on Twitter at Carly1277. I'm also on SoundCloud, Carly Thomas Smith, Instagram, Carly Thomas Smith. So any of those platforms, I'm there, and you can reach out and message.
We're going to put Carly's information on jackiesgroove.com with all the information of how to reach her. If you guys can't reach her that way, reach out to me, and I'll make sure I reach out to her. So with that, guys, said 25 seconds. I want everybody to stand up. If you're driving, don't stand up, and applaud and say thank you for Carly Thomas Smith and for you blessing my show, Jackie's Groove. Girl, we will be back when we come up with this. We're going to have a spoiler alert. You got a new album coming out. We're going to promote that like crazy with you also. So with that said, everybody, say goodbye to Carly Thomas Smith. Patronize this woman. Put some money in her pocket. Make her life that much easier. You guys, thank you so much, Carly. Hands out.
Thank you for
stretching,
having me, Jackie.
Giving you the virtual hug, girl. Keep your ass. Keep kicking ass. And as I always finish up by saying to everybody, peace through music. Love you, girl. Thank you so much.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al DiMeola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.